So today we are going to do a bucket test, also known as a jar test. Mix our products up and put them in a bucket, make sure they stay compatible and stay together before we go and mixing it up and putting it on our field. What we're putting down today is going to be our quote-unquote residue digester. We're going to feed the biology out there and get that residue to break down a little bit faster. We do have some corn on corn. It was corn this year, it's going to be corn next year that we're going to be putting this on. So I've got in my hand here pH meter. When we get done mixing it, we will check the pH just because I'm curious to see how it is. I'm gonna dive right into it and why we're putting these products down. Real simple, real easy. We've got 12% humic here. This will go in, food for our biology, high CEC holding capacity, just feeds everything in our soil. We've got molasses here, and I already put my yucca in, so I already metered these out at a rate of so roughly 5 gallons is what we're gonna have in here, which will be 1/3 of what we're putting on if we put 15 gallons per acre. I got my molasses in here and I already added my yucca with my molasses just because I already know those two mixed together. I put them in there so I can dump them all in at once. So the molasses is to feed the bacteria and to feed our biology. It kind of gets things going, jumps the system. That feeds our bacteria. Over here I've got manganese sulfate, soil test showing that we're deficient in manganese, so it's one way for us to get it out there. In the fall, we're just running a small amount of that. It's water soluble, so I already mixed it with the water ahead of time, which is what I will be doing over here when I go to mix it to go into my sprayer to spray on it. We will put water in our cone bottom tank, put the manganese sulfate in, mix it with our mixer here. This goes on the drill, and we just mix it up, and then we'll suck it through and into the sprayer. Next thing is zinc sulfate, same deal, dry powder that we just mix with water. We've used these products in the past. We know they mix with water very well. That's why I'm confident in using them. Last thing I got is liquid fish. It's like a fish hydrolysate. The whole reason that we will put that out there is to feed our fungi. So we're feeding our bacteria and we're feeding our fungi, molasses and fish, a little bit of each. Doesn't take a whole lot. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put it in the bucket, kind of mix it up a little bit so you can see we did a bucket test to make sure that it all stays together and it doesn't fall out and get turned to cottage cheese and junk. And nobody wants that in their sprayer. So real simple. I'll just set it down here. We'll start by adding the humic. And this is the order that I'll put it in the sprayer too. And then we'll put our molasses and yucca mix in. Not getting super fussy here, just trying to get most of it in. We can clean that out later. Then we'll put our manganese sulfate in, not magnesium, manganese. And the reason we're putting this stuff in is because we've been showing short on our soil test anyways. So it's one way for us to get it out there, along with putting it down with the planter, 2 by 2 by 2, you could say, with our planter as well, and as well as side dress. These are just micronutrients, but they're essential in getting them out there. Then last thing, we'll put our fish in. And then once we got it all mixed, or all put together, we'll mix it up and make sure it stays together. Now, typically what I like to do, you can do this however you want. Typically, I like to mix this up the night before and just let it sit in the shop. Come back in the morning to make sure it all stayed together and we didn't have a complete major fallout. The reason I do that is in case I have to leave it in my sprayer. I don't want to come back to my sprayer the next day and see a bunch of jelly in there and a mess I got to clean out. So this mix might work for you, it might not. Depends on what your water is. We got really good quality water here, but it is hard water. It's high in calcium. So ideally would be to use rainwater, but you know, we don't all have that option. And as you can see here, we're not having any issues with fallout. It's staying together really well. I'll just grab this here to kind of show you. Oh, that's too big. It's staying in that nice liquid form. It's not turning to cottage cheese. It's not getting clumpy. It looks like it's gonna work just fine for us. So, since I got a digital pH meter, you can buy these on Amazon. This is a little bit fancier one. I think it was like 70 bucks, but I check all my herbicide before we spray with this. Also, if you're doing foliar feeding, it's ideal to have the right pH, which I believe is 6.2, give or take. So just stick it in there, see where it's at. Right now it's holding at 6.0 pH. And it's holding right there. So typically it'll give you takes about 5-10 seconds. I like to let it read because it'll bounce up or down a point or two. But it's reading right at 6.1. It gets us close, so we know where we're at. It's something we can document and put in our crop records to know. That way we can keep track of it. You know, if it works really, really well, which we've done mixes to this, similar to this in the past with good success. So if we know it works really well, we can write that recipe down and use it for next year and get that residue digesting, because there's a lot of nutrients in that residue. So let's get it breaking down a little bit more. We do have a cover crop planted out there, so we'll have more residue in the spring with the cover crop holding the soil there. So this will get our corn stalks broke down for our corn on corn acres. Very simple, very affordable. Takes a little bit of time to mix it up, but for the money you can save mixing this stuff together yourself, it's really beneficial, and it feeds the soil, gets that residue broke down, and feeds the crop for the next year.